Okay, so today we are going to be examining yet another case of a poor white person attacked and killed for basically no reason and ignored by the mainstream media as always just for being white. And for those of you who are going to say, well, actually, it's all over the news now, yeah, now, because it fucking became, viral over the last couple days, but this actually happened in December, and people are just hearing about it now. It's June. Let's start off by watching the body cam and examining it like we do.
What's your name, mate? Huh?
This was the moment officers from Hampshire Police arrived looking for 18-year-old student Henry Nowak.
So the police came looking for Henry and not the killer, for actually not the reasons that we normally hear. In this case, the killer, which is actually this guy, he falsely claimed that the kid was using racial slurs against him. And as a result, they arrested the kid, who, by the way, is on the floor with stab wounds. I mean, should I be surprised? Like, really, should I fucking be surprised at all? There are a couple surprising things in this case, and I'll get to it as we go. But, like, Henry had no weapons on him, but they arrested him. 2, he's the one standing up with no visual, like, bruises or marks on him. Henry is the one on the ground, but arrests the kid on the ground. Okay, continuing.
Phone call made to police claimed Vickrum Digwa, seen here, had been the victim of a racist attack.
Oh, a racist. First of all, there was no racism attack. It was literally admitted later that he didn't actually say anything racist to that guy. The guy made it up. But let's assume that there was a racist attack, whatever the fuck that means. Let's pretend that there actually was one. Let's pretend that Henry did make racial comments to him. Does that mean the proper reaction is to stab him 5 times? I mean, if you're logical, no, but if you're a modern woke idiot, you'll probably say yes.
And Henry Nowak, the man on the floor, was the alleged aggressor.
Oh, yeah, totally. It's, because it's usually the people who are on the ground grasping for air who are the aggressors, right?
But unknown to officers, that claim was untrue. And the teenager on the ground,
What a shock.
Henry Nowak, had been stabbed by the man claiming to be the victim.
What else is new? We're always reversing the rules as long as a white person is involved. Always make the white people look as bad as possible, right?
This is what happened next.
What's happened to you, right? You've been
Poor kid's got stab wounds in his chest, and they're bending him to sit up. Yeah, that's really gonna help.
stabbed. Whereabouts? Don't think you have, mate.
I don't think you Now, granted, I do understand that he's not dripping blood on the ground. You can see the ground, he's not dripping in blood on the ground. Maybe the wounds are not large enough, or I don't know. I'm not sure of the medical point. Like, sometimes the blood may not drip out, or it's like within his shirt or something, or it's being held. I don't really know. But to his credit, the blood isn't dripping. But you could still open up his shirt and check. Rare sense.
After telling officers he was stabbed, Henry Nowak was placed in handcuffs. He died later that night.
He actually died an hour later, by the way. An hour later, because the cops were too stupid to just check his chest.
9 times Henry Nowak told officers that he could not breathe.
hand in the cup.
Oh, doesn't that sound familiar? You know, this is what I talk about when I say how much I despise this anti-white racism all the time. Just like George Floyd, who also said he couldn't breathe. But no, for George Floyd, the world literally falls to its knees in honor of this black criminal who actually died of a drug overdose, by the way. And he said he couldn't breathe. But if a white kid is the one saying it, who fucking cares? Bury the story. Deny it. Say he was racist. Don't even check for the stab wounds. and just ignore him saying that he can't breathe. But if it's a black man, especially, and not just the privilege of being a black man, but also even more so because he was a criminal. That just really makes him look so much better.
The student said multiple times that he had been stabbed.
And they ignored him.
Henry's
He couldn't breathe because his lungs were filling up with blood, by the way.
parents said their son died in an inhumane and degrading manner
True.
and called for the police to answer questions. This was their son the night of the attack. There is now an investigation into the officers who dismissed him and failed to recognize his distress.
Shocking.
Henry's killer Vickrum Digwa must now serve a minimum of 21 years behind bars.
Now that's the shocking part. It is so rare for someone who's not white to actually face consequences of killing someone who is white. So thankfully, he was not just let off with a warning or 45 minutes of community service. He actually got 21 years for committing a crime. that needs applause in modern day.
For taking the life of a teenager with a Sikh ceremonial knife. And now,
A Sikh ceremonial knife. Yeah. I would say I'm surprised, but I'd be lying if I said that.
one man's action has had consequences for his community.
Yeah, and keep in mind, by the way, him lying about being racially attacked is the actual fucking reason why the cops held down Henry and ignored the stab wounds and him saying he couldn't breathe. Because that's the reason why they put him in handcuffs, right? They put him in handcuffs because they believed this fucking asshole. If he hadn't lied about being racially attacked, then there would have been a lot more attention on Henry as the victim, because that's what he was, and he wouldn't have died. So we can blame the stab. Like, I'm sure the stab itself probably would have killed him, but they could have gotten medical attention there much faster. They could have had him not like trashing him around on the floor to make his wound worse, and they could have helped him breathe in some way if he hadn't flipped the script by lying. So even outside of the stab wound, there is a small possibility he would have survived if he didn't lie.
Henry Nowak's father warned against his son's death being politicized.
This is not a case about Sikhism. This is not a case about racism.
That really fucking pisses me off. I understand that this is Henry's father. I understand, and I do believe in respecting, victims' families. But the fact that even the father is now being like, listen, don't tell the facts, okay? I don't want to be racist. I know my son just fucking died, but I don't want to sound racist, so don't say the facts. Mark, your son was killed by that guy because he's white. It is okay to say the truth. Fuck, man.
This is a case about murder.
Yeah, and do you know why he was murdered?
But the words of Mark Nowak have not stopped those citing Henry's death in a wider campaign against diversity and inclusion.
Yeah, because that's literally the fucking problem, so we are going to talk about it. We are going to talk about how diversity is, in fact, a weakness and has always been a weakness.
And in claims that ethnic minorities receive preferential treatment from the police.
Gee, do you think it's because they literally fucking do? Do you think maybe it's because despite them committing most of the crimes, there is a constant shift in stats? Like, some stats will be honest and say that, most killings and homicides or non-lethal attacks, like stabbings, whatever, some sources will be honest and say that most of them are committed by non-whites. But a lot of stats, because they don't include a lot of things that happen, like probably you too, when I'm scrolling social media, I see at least 2 videos a day of a white person being attacked by a black guy. Not just shot and killed, but stabbed or punched in the face or something like that. Anything from murder down to just being assaulted. But the thing is, most of those videos don't actually become legal. They don't actually go into the stats of homicides or assaults or whatever. They really don't. A lot of them are blatantly ignored, either because where they happened, at like a bus station or whatever the fuck, a lot of them don't get reported. A lot of them just don't get found out. A lot of the ones that do just are left out of the stats entirely as a way to artificially deflate the numbers of black criminals and artificially inflate the numbers of white criminals. These things happen all the fucking time. And you know what that is? That's literally preferential treatment from police and the justice system for people who are non-white. And they do this because, one, wokeism, and how wokeism is all about making white people look bad no matter what, and making non-whites look as good as possible, despite what reality has shown. And the other reason is because they don't want to deport them out of the country, so a lot of their crimes are being ignored. That's a fact.
This is two-tier Britain, and I'm totally opposed to it. I'm opposed to DEI, I'm opposed to positive discrimination. I believe if we're going to live in a free and fair country, everybody must be judged equally on their merits.
Fucking thank you. One guy with a fucking brain.
Today, the far right's leader Tommy Robinson rallied.
Oh, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up with this far right bullshit. Like, I'm so fucking sick and tired of how when something when there's a case like George Floyd, and people are literally putting up statues of a criminal, that's not considered far left, but it is considered far right to just respect and tell the truth about a white victim. And again, for those of you who don't know, they say that as a way to discourage you from respecting white victims. They say, hey, if you dare tell the truth about Henry or give him any kind of respect, you're a far-right extremist. And you don't want to be a far-right extremist, do you? Nah, I didn't think so, because society will criticize you for that. So you should just say nothing. But if anything happens to a black guy, even if it's his fault, you must riot and protest and burn down cities and put up statues of him. No, but that's not far left, right? Fuck you.
Troops outside Southampton police station declaring institutional bias.
The Conservatives' shadow Home Secretary Chris Philp brought up this document. It's guidance, it's the police anti-racism commitment, and
so that document's called Anti-Racism. Listen.
under the section, our commitment to racial equity means, there's this line, it said, it does not mean treating everyone the same.
So thank you for admitting that you view anti-racism as not treating people the same. Yes, we know. It means special treatment for non-whites. We know. We've known this for fucking almost 2 decades now.
Or being colorblind.
Or being colorblind. Yes, that's right. I mean, again, do you want me to be surprised? I've been talking about this for 15 fucking years. I've been saying that the only way to end racism is to be colorblind. But the racist SJWs who think they're not racist, but actually are racist, believe that you should not be colorblind. We should look at race and make sure to prioritize and privilege those who are not white.
The Conservatives saying that that effectively hardwires in two-tier treatment.
That's because it does.
The dangerous ideology of so-called anti-racism, allowing people to be treated differently based on race, must end. Extreme activists
Oh, God, thank you.
have hijacked the policy-making process, and this is where it has led. It has no place in policing, it has no place anywhere. So does the Home Secretary agree that the so-called police anti-racism commitment must urgently be withdrawn?
Yes, oh my God, thank the fuck Christ. And again, they always name it shit like this in order to deter criticism. Well, what do you mean? That are you saying anti-racism is bad? No, we're saying racism is bad, and you just call it anti-racism as a way to oppress white people and hide under a name that sounds good but actually isn't.
This is close to the Home Secretary, that she considers the wording in this document to be, quote, clumsy, and that,
AKA woke.
I understand from sources close to Home Secretary, the National Police Chief Council are now reviewing the wording to ensure that there is no ambiguity and so that everyone is equal in the eyes of the law.
Yeah, isn't that fucking wild? Isn't it a wild concept that everybody should be treated equally in the eyes of the law? And we shouldn't give special treatment to people just because they come from a third world and then come into the first world and don't understand how to be civil? Like, if anything, we should be more strict on them because, number one, they're the ones who migrated here, and two, they have to learn our values. I know we do this constantly, but we shouldn't. We should not be adjusting our first world fucking values just to accommodate people who don't understand them and commit crimes as a result. I am so sick of catch and release. I am so sick of seeing these people who come into our country with a track record of past crimes, and then when they commit new crimes in our country, we just let them go entirely or give them community service or like 1 year of jail. They don't fucking get deported. They don't go to jail. They literally serve less prison time just because they're immigrants. And they get all the privileges that they fucking want. It's wild, and I'm so tired of it.
Speak for how I felt having watched that footage, and I know how Nigel felt having watched that footage, and I've spoken to so many serving police officers who have told me the biggest fear police have, that they have, is an accusation of racism.
And there it is. Just like we've been saying for years and years and years. I said this in a video over 10 years ago. A huge part of the reason why cops are so easy on non-white criminals is because they don't want to be called racist. They know what the crimes are. They know who committed them. But just because they don't want to be called racist, non-whites get that privilege yet again, out of fear of being called racist by our fucked up modern woke mindsets. When are people going to learn?
Is career ending. Go and look at Hampshire Police's website as we speak. It is still up. Their race action plan that was put in place as a result of what happened with George Floyd in America, that trains the police to respond differently depending on whether an accusation of racism has been made. And I'm afraid...
And that is disgusting. This is not new. We already knew this was true, but it is absolutely fucking disgusting. Literally go easier on worse criminals who commit worse crimes or have immigrated here just because they're not white. Literally blatantly saying, if they're not white, go easier on them. And that's considered anti-racism. No one's saying to go harder on them because they're not white, but they should be going equally as hard. They shouldn't be going easier on them. They should be going equally as hard. It should always be based on what the crime is or how many past crimes they've committed, if they have like a rap sheet of previous crimes.
No one is going to guilt trip us into not making these arguments. I'm afraid we now do live in a country where anti-white racism is structurally embedded in many of our great institutions.
Thank God. Finally, someone besides me telling the truth. Anti-white racism is systemic. Just like I've been saying for years. Let's move on to this lovely article claiming that it's the far right who hijacked his murder. Yeah, because that's a problem, because, again, he's white, how dare you. And it's perfectly fine for BLM and the rest of the world to hijack George Floyd's murder, because he's black. Henry's family pleaded that his murder not be used to stoke hatred in the UK. But key figures from Britain's far right, they're not far right, appear determined to trigger another battle over race regardless. Oh, because it wasn't a battle when BLM destroyed half of the country, right? No, not at all. Prominent anti-immigrant figures and members of the UK's political far right have pounced on the release of the video by telling the truth, claiming it shows British police discriminating against white people by having more lenient rules for radicalized people, which is true. It is now clear to growing millions in this country that we are living under a tier-tier policing. Reform UK leader Nigel said during a volatile exchange in the British House of Commons on Wednesday. The instructions that are given to police officers from police bosses are clear and written down in ink. It says you must treat different ethnic groups in different ways. Yeah, but it's far right to point out that fact. Speaking to the crowd in the city, Tommy Robinson, he says, "This is about race," he said. as white people, we are treated as second-rate citizens by our own police force, and that's the entire first world, not just the UK. Okay, and the rest of the article is just political garbage and also stuff I said in the previous video. But yeah, so you know what I love and really needs to be pointed out is that this kind of thing, despite what the woke people will have you believe, this actually happens so little to black people, and I'll try to explain to you the reason why. Think about it. George Floyd was a literal criminal who broke into a woman's house and held a pregnant woman up at gunpoint. And he died of an overdose. Now, granted, the knee on the neck exacerbated the effects of the drugs in order to kill George. Literally, the only way that the woke SJWs were able to prop up a supposed black victim is by lying about a criminal. That just tells you how little ammo they really have. But us white people, we have lots of ammo, because things like this happen all the time, and I see multiple videos a day of shit like this. But I can't cover them all. I figured I would cover this one because people are comparing it to George Floyd, which is just unbelievable. Once again, nobody cares because yet another white person was killed, just like Tony Timpa and many others. And part of the reason why nobody cares is because nobody hears about them. The mainstream media tries to hide them all in order to artificially the numbers on black victims, despite it not actually being true. Rest in peace, Henry Nowak, another person murdered by diversity is our weakness. Bye.